Hey guys, it's Casual Joe here, and this is the first episode of Crimes with Canna. So, we're going to kick the first episode off with the Murdaugh family. Yes, the same Murdaugh family that's been in the news for the last year or two. They are an interesting case, to say the least, with a lot of twists and turns and mysteries. Still with the family. So we're going to touch on that and hope you all enjoy. And if you got a suggestion for a crime or a story similar or just something fascinating, we would love for you to send us a message. And as always, please like and subscribe. So the Murdaugh family. Let me start with the Murdaugh family. Okay, they are American lawyers in the Low Country of South Carolina. And they've been lawyers. They've had their hand in the legal field since the 1920s. It started with the great grandfather, and they are what they are 14th Circuit solicitors, and what that is pretty much DAs. Like if your state has a legal, a legal, of course every state has, but pretty much it's the DA's office in your state, so or your county. So they've pretty much been district attorneys over 5 counties in South Carolina, the Low Country, as it's known as, for since 1920 to 2006. And and since then, other members of the family have started another practice that is a civil. I mean not civil, but injury law. So they have the injury law business, but they initially started off doing the 14th Circuit, and that's how the family's introduction to law. That's the that was the start of the family dynasty. But they also assisted the DA's office while they were in their own practice of personal injury law. And we'll get back on the family business too, because we're going to tie that back in later. But but okay, Alex Murdaugh, he is the main person in this rise and fall of the Murdaughs. It started with the son. It, Let me go back. Let me introduce the whole family. So Alec Murdaugh is the patriarch. Alex Alex Alec Alex is Alex. I think it's short for Alexander. So Alec Murdaugh, his first name is actually Richard, but Alex Murdaugh is the patriarch. He was married to a Southern woman for 27 years named Maggie. Um, she seemed like a sweetheart. We'll show pictures behind, but she just seemed like a sweet person. Then they had 2 boys. They had Maggie and Alex had two sons. The oldest son being his name is Buster. He's actually a junior. So his real name is Richard Alex Murdaugh, also Alexander Murdaugh, also, but he's known by everyone as Buster. And that happens to be like the great grandfather's name also, and same nickname too. But then the youngest son, his name is Paul. Paul is the youngest son. In their estate, and they have a main house and compound, which houses their main property and also their shooting kennels, which is 1,700 acres, 1,700 acres. And they also own like two islands. So they got a boathouse and other properties. So, and that's going to come into play later. So the family got the family first came into light to the general public, to I wouldn't say to the general public. Apparently, everybody in these 5 counties knew who they were in South Carolina. But outside of that, the world found out about them when the son, more so some of us found out about it when the son, the youngest son, Paul was in a boating accident and and um ended up accosting a young lady, not accosting, but a young lady lost her life. And it was him and a few friends, him and five other friends, jumped on the family boat. They left the family house and drove through the canals and the bayous, like the little like the river, like the like the channels and stuff. So they started at the house, and then they first they loaded up the truck, of course, loaded the boat. They stopped and got some alcohol. Paul did using his big brother's ID, and the big brother is nothing to do with this, but he used the big brother's ID, and that is on video. Surveillance cameras has him at a convenience store using the brother's ID, and when he even leaves the store with the beer using the fake ID, he even does a congratulatory little thing with his arms. So so they get on the boat, they leave, they go there, go to the houseboat, to the boathouse, leave the boathouse on the boat, from drinking and stuff. Then they go to another party at someone's house. From that party they were drinking, they go to another bar where Pa and his other friend goes in and takes shots. So when they leave the bar, it said that it says that Connor, a guy named Connor is one of the friends. It says that Connor was wanting to drop the boat, because of course Paul was intoxicated. Paul was inebriated. So so he drives the boat for a little bit. Paul gets into an argument with Connor about who's going to drive the boat, saying that this is my boat and I want to drive my own boat. So from there, it was an argument back and forth between who was driving the boat. It said that when Paul is under the influence, he has an alter ego that he calls Timmy. So at this point, Timmy is out and he's combative with the girls, combative with the other five passengers. And then they let him drive his boat under under pretty much force and pressure. They let him drive his boat, and he crashes the boat into a pier under the bridge. Crashes the boat. People are the five were ejected from the boat. Five or six of them ejected from the boat. And a young lady named Connor, who happened to be Connor's girlfriend, she is ejected from the boat also, and she is missing. So at this point, everyone is frantic. Everyone is frantic because, of course, what's going on. So the police is called. Everyone is called. Everybody's searching for the young lady Mallory. Mallory Beach is her name. And the bridge that they hit is called Archer Creek Bridge. So at this point, the police are upstairs. The boat hit so hard that it pretty much banked up, right? So everyone is up, not where the rivers and stuff where the channel is, but they didn't climb up to the top of the bridge, so to wait on the first responders. So Connor is literally, it's pictures, videos of Connor on the hood crying because he's of what's going on. In addition to Mallory is missing. As Connor is in shock and weeping his missing girlfriend, Paul is coming up the cliff, coming up the embankment, the hill, whatever it is, coming up, and Connor looks over and sees him, and he has a smirk on his face. And Connor tries to blow past the police and attack Paul because he's like, "Bro, what's funny? Why are you laughing? My girl is missing. Like this is some serious." And then he proceeds to tell the police, Connor does, that the Murdaugh, Alice Murdaugh. Then the officer says, "Yeah, yes, I know that name." And he said, "Yeah, that's his son. Good luck." So the first introduction to them to outside world was this, and at first really it was not, because this This is the most powerful legal family in this region, in the Low Country. So what they did that night was, instead of, going to the hospital and comforting the victims, like, hey, we got insurance, I'm sorry for, oh my God, I know you guys been shot. They proceeded to, the Murdaughs proceeded, Alex himself proceeded to go to each room, to the victim's room, and tell them, do not talk to the police, do not tell the police who was driving the boat, which was his son, of course, and then told them that he also has lawyers, if need be, that can assist him. And the lawyer happened to be a family friend, like the godfather of Paul type ordeal. It's family. This family here, this is like this story got all kind of webs, and like I said, this is a good one to start with. It really is. So okay, so to continue, he goes out, he goes to every room, convinces everybody not to talk to the police, right? Because they're saying being drunk and being around the boat, because when the police came, nobody was in the boat, of course. They was all up on the bridge waiting for the police, flagging them down. So he said there's not a crime. There's nothing illegal about being drunk and being beside a boat. Just like if you're drunk hanging out beside a car, that's nothing illegal with that. As long as they don't know who's driving. They tried to play some legal scam on these kids. It's just pathetic. So then, not even concerned about the car. And then meanwhile, while he's going around to the rooms to these kids, his son is in there acting belligerent. When they tested his blood level finally, it was at a 0.286, which is 3 times the legal limit. So so he's gonna get a BUI, which is pretty much a DUI, a boating under the influence. So it was just it. So fast forward, we go by, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Weeks go by to a point where it's 2 months in, and then the family of Mallory Beach is wondering, like, is anything gonna happen? Nobody's heard nothing. They swept this under the rug so good that it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. So so that was the first kind of thing. So when finally they got the son a court date, when the son finally got a court date, right? He was gonna go to trial in like 2 years. Like it took like 2 years. It took a while for him to go to trial. Y'all know how trial works. Sometimes it's not an overnight process. They say you're guaranteed or you're offered a speedy process and due process, but sometimes it takes a lot, especially when there's a lot of evidence, a lot of other stuff going on, and stuff in the work, and other prior cases and stuff, but caseloads and all of that stuff going to play. But finally was scheduled to go to trial. And before he goes to trial, he gets murdered. Yes, phone call. Alex calls the police on June 7th, 2021, at 10:07 to be exact, saying that he found his wife and son um, deceased at the house on the property in the dog kennels. And I'm like, in the dog kennels? That's just, man. So he was claiming that they were shot multiple times, and the son was shot twice. Apparently, once in the chest, and it went out through like his armpit, and he survived that one. And then the second shot was to the second impact. I don't want to say shot because I don't know how that works with it. But the second impact was was um was to the crane, to the head, to the crane, to the cranium. So to the head, it was pretty much. Let me clean this up. Pretty much execution style kind of thing. So of course that was, and then it said that well, the thought is that Maggie, when she heard the shots, she ran over from where she was to see what was going on, because she knew it was just her and her son there. I mean, her husband and her son there. So she runs around the corner, and that's when she gets gunned down. and she gets hit in the impact for her. The first shot was in the hip, and pretty much they said it dropped her to her hands and knees. Then the person, pretty much Alex, went around, stood behind her, and then execution, then came back around to the front, and then crown, and then hit the crown of the head. Like what is this about? And then the person that did this, I don't know why I keep telling the person that did this because he's already been convicted of this, but the person, Alex, then he used two separate guns, shotgun on the son, um, a blackout on the wife. So I guess since he's an attorney and he works with the DA office, I guess that's like trying to be slick. Like, oh yeah, it must have been two people, it must have been multiple people, and but so when he's questioned about all of this, his first thing is he thinks it's from the boating accident because the son has not been tried yet. It's taken a long time, and he said that he's received several death threats. Him and the son and the family, they've received several death threats about about the boating accident. So he assumed that he put one and one together and was like, okay, well, it got to be this. And this is what he's telling the investigators. And he was saying that, at the time he was at home, sleep. Then he woke up, and they were gone. And Maggie's a dog lover, so he assumed she was at the kennels. And then he woke up, left, went to his mother's house that has Alzheimer's or dementia, and went there and visited them, and then came back home, and then that's when he discovered the family. So the police was believing him. I feel like the police kind of believed him for a minute because he was. I've seen the video, and y'all gonna see. He was crying. It was real. It was, to me, it was real believable. To me, it was like, yeah, I would have not thought it was them. I would have not thought it was him at first look. So after this, but come to find out, and this is what we know as like the general public, right? So meanwhile, there's a whole investigation going on, right, at the law firm that the family that the family started. The the private practice, not the private practice, yeah, the private practice that does personal injury. So meanwhile, the fraud investigation is going on in the law firm, and who's under investigation? Alex, of course, for supposedly stealing $8.7 million from pretty much the people that he swore an oath to and got a license to protect and serve. Pretty much, not that he's the police, but as an attorney, you still got to honor some kind of oath and be like ethical, right? So So he promised to take care of these people, and it was people like police officers. Because listen, he was a personal injury attorney. So what that means is he was hurting. He was taking from people that was already hurting. One of them was like a police officer that got injured on the job. He stole most of that man's money, and he was just stealing like 22,000 here, 300,000 there, 48,000 there, just stealing. And also, this is gonna lead me back to another with him another about him so fraudulent too. We're gonna talk about that in a second too, because that ties back to the housekeeper's kids. But after this, so the family's fine. So we find the family. So meanwhile, the family's, all of this is going on. Come to find out, the law firm had came out, had fired him, had questioned him about it, had set him to the side. Like, hey, Alex, we got some discrepancies with accounting. What's going on? Next day, Alex is saying that he's checking himself into rehab because he's been addicted to Oxycontin, to pain pills, for the last 20 years. And he was like, wait, what? Where is this coming from? Because keep in mind, a lot of people might not have heard about him getting dismissed from the family law firm for the embezzlement infractions and stuff like that. People was first hearing about him again because because he's saying that he's checking himself into rehab. So articles coming out about the same time, like, oh, boom, law firm, he's getting law firm, boom, substance abuse, okay, okay. So people are like, hmm, family, family next, family ended up missing. I mean, end up how they ended up, and then after this, he claims that he's on the side of the road, changing a flat tire on his Mercedes, and someone shoots him in the head. He calls 911 and says someone tried to attack him, pulled over and asked him if he needed any help, and put out a shotgun and shot him in his head. Come to find out that the person that did this is like his distant cousin that he didn't pay. Why? Because he knows he's guilty of all this stuff. So his plan was to have somebody murder him, kill him on the side of the road, decease him on the side of the road, and then that way his son, his only living son, Buster, the only living son, Buster, can get the $10 million life insurance policy. Yeah, I heard that right. His wife, and youngest son, he's already deceased them. So now he's trying to off himself so that the oldest son can get a $10 million life insurance policy and be able to keep the estate and all the other stuff. He don't want that estate. He don't want that. But luckily he was away. He wasn't even there, luckily, because he probably would have got it too. So so this whole thing is just, oh my God, it's just crazy. So from there, he paid the cousin. The cousin came out the closet and said, "Yeah, this what really happened." So, and I think that's why the cousin turned him in. There was really no mention of like the cousin's cut. Like, was the cousin supposed to wait on Buster to get the 10 million and then he get a cut of the money? Because then, if that's the case, then Buster would have, he would have to tell Buster, "Hey, I really shot your dad. He promised me." You know what I'm saying? It was just weird to me. So maybe that's what he came to the epiphany of too. Like, nah, but I guess he just grabs him because the guy said if he wanted him dead, he would be dead. So I I, I don't know, guys. Y'all guys guess mine. It's so many ups and downs and mysteries. Oh, with the fraud. Oh, now they this, that, and the other. And then it gets better because now it's two, in addition to the wife and son, there's also mystery deaths around these people too. And one of the mystery deaths is their housekeeper. Their housekeeper of 20 years ended up dead. Her name was Gloria Satterfield. And what the family claimed in 2008 was that the dogs got a little rambunctious while she was at the top of the stairs and knocked her down the stairs. 57-year-old lady. They said she died from a trip and fall. And her body was never you know what it's called, not it's about to be exhumed, but the body was never tested at like the coroner's office to see what was going on. I never like tested for the cause of death or whatever. But I don't know. But again, these are some of the most powerful people legally, or pretty much people too, in that county, in the Low Country. So for her to just go ahead and get buried without the county medical examiner doing their job, oh yeah, that's just a thing. I'm sure that was just a thing of them being who they were. But now they're talking about exhuming her body up to see, because it's just too mysterious. Like a healthy 50-year-old falling 50, even she's 57, she's falling down some stairs and dying. I'm like, even like 80, 90-year-old, you might break a hip, but dying from stairs inside the house, it's probably more likely got carpet on them. It's just, and then and then with her kids, when she died, when at the funeral, Alex decided to speak at her funeral, And sources say that it was weird because he got to talking about lawsuits and not him suing them, of course, but for the kids to sue his estate and sue his insurance. So that way the kids can be, taken care of, and since it was an accident, he got insurance and stuff. So it went to, some financial stuff at the funeral. So, but he did go ahead and see through that. He did honor his word on that about suing his estate for the children. But the thing about that is the kids never got the money. He sued his own estate. He had one of his people as their attorney, did an insurance claim, sued his estate, kept the it was like 3.4 million, almost $4 million. Kept the millions, kept like 3 million, 3 some million, and didn't even give it to the kids. The kids never even knew that they had $3 million. Meanwhile, the kids are living with their dad. They're living with their dad, and he ends up losing his trailer because he loses his job and couldn't afford payments, and gets kicked out of his property and have nowhere to go with the kids. And meanwhile, this man Alex had this man's $3 million some dollars for them kids. It's just it Yeah, it's just so, and that ties back to the fraud. He got claimed for the insurance fraud too. So that's what I was saying with the kids. Yeah, so he did get charged for that too. This man has over 99 charges against him right now. Okay, the second mysterious death was a 19-year-old named Stephen Smith. Stephen was Stephen was a student in Buster's class. Like, they was in the same class, but they was, in different circles. So Stephen was, he might have been transgender, not transgender, but part of the LGBTQ community or whatever. That has nothing to do with anything with me. Like, you are who you are, but but he was part of that community, and maybe that's some. Let me tell the story. So he was a student, a classmate of Buster's, and Stephen ended up found in the road down the street, not too far from the Murdaugh estate, and people were thinking he was found in the road dead or deceased, and his car was 3 miles up on the side of the road with the gas tank open, but his wallet inside the car. So they're trying to say that he might have had car trouble, walked, and then got hit. I'm sorry, I'm drawing on the thing. He might have walked, then walked, and then got hit by another vehicle. But the thing about that is, the investigators on scene saying there's no sign of anything of like anything vehicular. There's nobody hitting the brakes. There's no broken headlights. There's nothing. Like, he still had his shoes on. They said a lot of people, when they get hit by cars, they fly out of their shoes, and his shoes were loose on his feet, but they were still on his feet. Which, if your shoes are loose, they would have flung off if you got. It's so much stuff that contradicts that he was there. He got hit by a car right there on that scene. It looks more like how he was placed and found that he was placed there. It looked like he was actually placed there. How he was placed looked like he was placed there essentially. It looked like it was not a hit and run, but he was a victim of some other mischievous act. He only had trauma to his head. Like, if you're getting hit by a car, when you have trauma to your legs, to some of your knees, you would have road rash, you have different kind of abrasions. You would be, you know what I'm saying? It'll be different kind of little traumas on you. Your elbow might be skinned through your hands, might be skinned up, but it was none of that. Only head trauma. And and it just led you to believe that close to them being busters, and people have told the family that this is have to do with the Murdaugh boys. The Murdaugh boys is involved in this, but there's been no hard evidence, and police is also saying that they have other suspects outside of the Murdaughs, but it's just so much mystery and so much um like weirdness, and just like, oh my God, what's going on? Are you for real? Like, just shrouded around his family. And now he has been, of course, found guilty, of both of the, for the wife and the daughter, for Maggie and for Paul. and also a list of other charges, from all kind of embezzlements, from wire frauds to mail frauds to all kind of accessories after the facts, and all kind of perjuries, I'm sure. So, and yeah, because he sat up in the courtroom during his trial, and just he even was bold enough to get up there and speak against his own attorney. And keep in mind, they're good attorneys, but they got an attorney that's like the like Johnny Cochran of the South of that state. He's like the attorney, and to represent him, and it ain't nothing he could have did. He done the best he could. He threw the theory out about the two guns, and then they never found the weapons, of course, but they found bullets inside the Murdaugh house because, of course, they were hunters. And this in the dog kennels was on a 1,700 acre, so like I said, so they had several busters. Buster even testified in the trial, and he was just so heartbroken, of course, because it's his dad, and he don't want to believe that his dad that that his father did that to his mother and stuff. So of course, he testified on his dad's behalf, saying his dad was, when his dad caught him, he was distraught. His dad was heartbroken, but in the trial, man, just the way that he was looking, not Buster, but Alex, just looking like how he was staring down the prosecutor and just see, in there they had to have different prosecutors, different a judge. They had to have people from the separate county come in because the family is just too intertwined into the judicial system in the Low Country. So it was just it's just unbelievable that somebody would do that, and I'm glad that they did sentence him because I just seen through all the bullshit during the trial and what got his ass, because he keep in mind he's a prosecutor, so he tried to dot the i's and check the t's, but technology, these phones and these trucks got GPSs on them telling you when it tell them GPS tell the prosecutors about the boat with the son, how fast he was going, and got the navigation, how fast he was going, slowing down this, and then GPS is in the car. So him saying, "Oh, I left and went to my dad's and my mom's house at this time," when you really didn't, and it shows your times, it shows everything, and then you had an Apple Watch tracking your steps and your heart rate and stuff on you. All of that is what eventually caught him up. His son, the one that he deceased, ended up sending a video, like a Snapchat or something, to one of his friends that had his dogs at the kennel. When Alex said he was there sleeping, that's when he was there sleeping, he was actually at the kennel. That was really, and he was trying to say, "Oh no, I was not there. I was sleeping, and I went to my mother's house." No, what he did do that, but that was only after the fact. The son recorded the video of his friend's dog and sent it to his friend. In that video, the video is timestamped. So in that video, you hear Alex in the background saying, "Come here, Bubba," and Bubba is the family dog. There's three voices in the video: Maggie, Paul, and Alex. And they had people testify at a trial to confirm that was Alex's voice, because he swore he was only at sleep and at his grandmother's house, not at the kennels, until 10:07. So the video was like at 9:40 something, like at 9:44. So they asked him, how could you be where you say you are and that's your voice on the kennels? And he swore that wasn't his voice until, of course, people testified that's his voice. Then, oh, maybe I was down there. So this guy, he's just such a damn liar. It just really don't make no sense. Like, as much as this guy lies, like there's no way there's no way to even believe him. And plus, he's a former prosecutor and works with the DA office. He knows. He thought he was slick doing the two gun thing. He thought he was slick going to the people's um, bedside, trying to convince them kids. And even with that, he was convincing all the other kids not to say something. Meanwhile, trying to point the finger at Connor, saying that he was the one driving. Just, just yeah. So like I said, this family here, if y'all keeping up with it, if y'all caught up with the story, if y'all was watching the story, let me know what y'all think about it. Put it in the comments. Um, yeah, man, this totally just just sucks for the family, of course, all because this man is was evil, and you know what I'm saying. And then the next other motive was because he wanted to he wanted them to kind of forgive or give him more time to take care of the 8.7 million that he had stolen, essentially. Yeah, so when they asked the CPA in the court from the law firm, the same law firm that his family started. His brother's still there. They had him and the brother. They had the CPA after the family died, passed. Were y'all gonna still? Would you still have asked him about that money that you about the money? She said no. Why would we ask him about money when he just lost his family? That was the least of our concerns. We wouldn't ask him for that for a while. We wouldn't have brought that up for a while. It just would have been what it was. That was the motive. Prosecutor claiming that was the motive. Yep. That right there. That right there. Greed. Just I don't know what. Anyway, if y'all know more about the story, or let me know if y'all like the first one. It's gonna get better. This story was kind of interesting to me, so I'm gonna do one more about 10 facts about him too coming up. So just let me know what y'all think, and thanks for watching and subscribing.